We're working to connect a region of over 600 cultural bridges between our lands.
Hello, I'm Alma Angeles. We're moving to the next stage of the pandemic, and as the world resets to the new normal, we find ourselves seeking the right balance between health and livelihood, constantly adjusting the boundaries between liberty and responsibility. Welcome to ASEAN in Focus. First, about 250,000 people in Manila will go back into lockdown, according to an official, as the number of new coronavirus infections in the Philippines surges. Residents in Navotas, one of the 16 cities that make up the sprawling capital of 12 million people, will have to stay home for a fortnight, just 6 weeks after emerging from one of the world's longest lockdowns. Navotas has 931 confirmed cases and 59 deaths, according to local government figures. But the number of new infections has spiked in the past 2 weeks. Mayor Toby Tiangco said, "We have no choice but to do it because people are so stubborn," referring to people flouting social distancing rules. The order is expected to take effect on Wednesday or Thursday, according to Tiangco, adding that the full set of guidelines was still being finalized. Residents will be allowed to go to work, but outdoor exercise will be banned. Shops and businesses can remain open, but restaurants will only be allowed to do takeaways. Tiangco also said he has asked the capital's police chief to deploy troops to enforce the orders and arrest violators.
From the time na nag-GCQ, yung Friday and Saturday, yun yung pinakamataas na cases namin, 75 and 74. Okay. Yung ECQ, ang pinakamataas na case namin is 25. So, hindi naman pwedeng habol lang tayo ng habol ng cases, no? So, dapat limitahan ang galaw ng tao para malimitahan din yung transfer ng virus. Okay, number one, kaibahan itong lockdown nito sa ibang lockdown is because yung ibang lockdown, kahit bumili ng pagkain, hindi pinapayagan yung tao. Mm-hmm. Pero this lockdown, papayagan sila bumili, kaya lang doon sa araw na schedule nila. Mm-hmm. No? So, malaking difference yun. So, ito pwede silang lumabas ng bahay, bumili ng pagkain on the day na schedule yung barangay nila. Yes, yung below 18, in-increase na namin yung penalty. Dati yata 300 pesos yan. Today, we increased it to 1,000 for the first offense, 2,000 for the second offense, and 3,000 for the third offense. Mm-hmm. So, tinaasa namin yung fine, not because gusto namin mangulesta ng fine, pero para mag-isip yung mga magulang at bantayan nila mabuti ang kanilang mga anak.
Education Ministry to distribute e-learning materials to remote rural areas of Cambodia. Joining us live from Cambodia is Princess Kalamanan. Hello, Princess.
Hi, Alma. Good afternoon. So here are the latest updates from Phnom Penh, Cambodia. The Ministry of Education, in cooperation with partner organizations, planned to distribute e-learning materials worth around $10,000 to remote and rural areas in the kingdom, in a bid to assist students from minority groups and students with disabilities who struggle to continue their learning amid the pandemic. The learning tools include televisions, computers, radios, speakers, digital cameras, and video editing materials, all of which will be distributed this week to provinces such as Ratanakiri, Mondulkiri, and Stumtreng, which have a high population of minority and disabled students. Bong Safos, Director of the Medical and Travel Security Services firm AEA International, and also one of the Ministry of Education's partner organizations, said that despite the ongoing challenges, students need to adapt to the new paradigm of digital learning. This pandemic teaches us that students can learn even outside the classroom, that education can be accessed anywhere and anytime through the many digital platforms available today, he said. While acknowledging the low digital literacy, limited internet connectivity, and the far from affordable smart devices that hamper the learning of remote and rural students, Safos nevertheless said that they must see the situation as an opportunity to extend their knowledge and understanding of the digital era. Over the past 3 months, The ministry has been broadcasting learning programs in multiple languages via radio for students who belong in the indigenous groups. The languages are spoken in the tongue of Ratanakiris Tumpun, Kurung indigenous people, and Mundulkiris Bunong people. The radio broadcasts are aimed at providing e-learning opportunities for indigenous children studying in kindergarten and primary school from grades 1 to 3. Back to you, Alma.
All right. Thank you very much, Princess, for your updates there in Cambodia. You stay safe, you stay healthy.
Thank you so much, Alma. Again, this is Prisa Senior G. Kalamanan, live reporting from Phnom Penh, Cambodia. We live in interesting times.
To Vietnam now, where the Prime Minister has just approved the resumption of Vietnam-China flights. Joining us live from Vietnam is Charlene Navaja. Hello, Charlene.
Good afternoon, Alma.
Good afternoon.
So that's right. Prime Minister okays the resumption of Vietnam-China flights. So the government office announced yesterday that Prime Minister Nguyen Xuan Phuc has given the green light to the resumption of flights between Vietnam and China. So the move was made following the government's latest meeting on COVID-19 pandemic. Frequency and conditions for passenger transport shall be discussed and decided by competent authorities of the two countries. So the Prime Minister Phuc stressed that the demand for entry into Vietnam of overseas Vietnamese people, foreign investors, experts, and students have remained high. Thus, the government will try to satisfy the demand according to order of priority and domestic quarantine capacity. So the government chief tasked the Ministry of Transport, or MOT, to work with the Ministry of Foreign Affairs, the Ministry of Health, and Vietnam Airlines to repatriate Vietnamese nationals in Equatorial Guinea as soon as possible. So quick COVID-19 tests and appropriate quarantine measures will be applied to different types of entrants according to the announcement. So the Ministry of Foreign Affairs is in charge of collaborating with the Ministry of Transport and relevant agencies to discuss with competent authorities of foreign countries to increase frequency of citizen repatriation flights and to resume commercial flights with other countries. So as of this morning, Alma, Vietnam confirmed 373 COVID-19 patients. So this is including the 232 imported cases who were quarantined upon their arrivals, plus a 50-year-old man today returning from Russia. So of all the total cases, 352 have been cleared of the virus, accounting for 94.4% according to the National Steering Committee for COVID-19 Prevention and Control. So thanks to successful containment of the pandemic, the nation has conducted 40 repatriation flights since April 21st, bringing home 10,996 citizens who were stranded abroad due to the pandemic. Back to you, Alma.
All right. Thank you very much, Charlene, for your updates there. Thank you, EBC Vietnam Bureau.
Bringing you live updates from Hanoi, Vietnam. This is Charlene Navaja reporting from Hanoi. We live in interesting times.
All right, let's now head on over to Bangkok, where the tourism sector is worried about a case of an Egyptian soldier positive for the coronavirus. Let's get that update from Cristel Dimarukot. Hello, Cristel. Thank you for joining us.
Thank you, Alma. Yes, here are the latest updates here in Thailand. The tourism sector in Rayong has expressed concerns that the case of an Egyptian soldier who tested positive for COVID-19 will further damage their businesses and are urging authorities to help restore public confidence. Chayut Chaitrakultong, chairman of the tourism business operators in the Eastern Province, said he feared the fresh case would drive tourists away, just as local businesses were starting to recover after the easing of lockdown measures on July 1. However, he said exactly on how much people's confidence was affected, dependent on how the provincial authorities handled the issue, which some observers say has exposed lax health screening. Mr. Chayut was speaking after the Center of COVID-19 Situation Administration reported the movements of an Egyptian soldier who stayed in Rayong and tested positive for the coronavirus. In addition to that, Alma, the soldier visited a number of places, including shopping centers, during his stay in the province and also took a one-day trip to China. He returned to Egypt on Saturday, and a test result confirming the infection came back from the lab on Sunday. Mr. Chayut said tourism operators in the province had only recently launched a new advertising campaign and they were shocked by the news. He said that they were bracing for the impact and that businesses had just started picking up and were seeing solid bookings. They don't expect the business to fully recover in the new normal, but they are hoping the province will resolve the situation before the long weekend. Mr. Chayut in Rayong said had no local cases for almost 2 months, and he doubted people were paying serious attention to the Thai Chan app, which is being promoted as part of the measures to prevent a fresh outbreak despite the government's effort. The hotel in question had been ordered to shut. Its 12 hotel staff had been quarantined and would be tested for COVID-19. He said health authorities were also checking all venues visited by the Egyptian soldier and others in his delegation during their stay in Rayong, and necessary appropriate steps would be taken. Lastly, while it has not been confirmed which malls the Egyptian soldier visited, Rayong Public Health Office late on Monday announced that a free, royally sponsored COVID-19 test would be available at Central Rayong and Passion Shopping Destination shopping centers from 11 a.m. to 3 p.m. today. That's the latest news here in Thailand. Back to you, Alma.
All right, thank you very much for joining us today, and we look forward for more news from you. Thank you, EBC Thailand Bureau.
Thank you, Alma. Reporting from Bangkok, Thailand. This is Christelle Nicole, and we live in interesting times.
All right, let's get the latest coronavirus situation in Malaysia. Joining us live is Gail Aldos. Hello, Gail.
Hello, Alma. Here are the latest news in Malaysia. 7 new positive cases of COVID-19, including 6 imported cases, were reported in Malaysia yesterday, said Health Director General Dr. Nur Hisham Abdullah. He said this brings the cumulative figure for positive cases to 8,725, with 83 being active cases with infectivity. He said the 6 imported cases who were infected overseas comprise 2 Malaysians and 4 non-citizens, residents, or those allowed to enter Malaysia for work purposes. He said in a statement yesterday the sole case of local transmission involves a Malaysian from Novgorod PUI patient under investigation cluster. Dr. Nur Hisham said another case had recovered and was discharged yesterday, bringing the cumulative figure for recoveries to 8,520, or 97.7% of the total number of cases. He said no fatality was reported yesterday, keeping the death toll at 122, or 1.39% of the total number of cases. He added that 4 positive cases are still being treated in the intensive care unit, with 3 requiring ventilator support. Dr. Nur Hisham reminded those under home surveillance to always abide by the COVID-19 management guidelines, including to stay at home throughout the quarantine period and to limit the number of visitors to their homes. He said they should also avoid sharing cutlery and personal hygiene items like toothbrushes with other members of their household and to have good ventilation at home. He added family members of returning Malaysians are reminded not to have too many people receiving them at the international entry gate. If there are symptomatic individuals among family members or housemates of the travelers, they are required to get immediate treatment. In another related news, new Novgorod cluster was detected in Malacca. The Health Ministry yesterday identified a new COVID-19 cluster in Malacca called Novgorod PUI cluster after 2 cases were detected from screening done on close contacts of the first case there. The cluster was named after the historical city of Novgorod in Russia. Health Director General Dr. Nur Hisham Abdullah said the first case from the cluster is a Malaysian case 8673 who returned from Russia on July 5. The COVID-19 test done on the individual at the airport was positive and that person was then admitted to the Sungai Buloh Hospital, he said in a statement yesterday. He added that the second case from this cluster, case 8718, is a friend of case 8673. They traveled on the same aircraft on July 5. The COVID-19 screening conducted on case 8718 at the international entry point turned out negative. He said, however, that individuals started showing fever and respiratory tract symptoms on July 7, and a repeat test was found to be COVID-19 positive. He said a third case from this cluster is the father of case 8718. Case 8718 was greeted on arrival in Malaysia on July 6 by 4 family members who had gone to the airport in a car. He said investigations show that the father of this case was also COVID-19 positive after having fever symptoms. This makes him the third case of the Novgorod POI cluster. Dr. Nur Hisham said so far 14 close contacts had been identified from the cluster and all had been screened and found negative of COVID-19. Back to you, Alma.
All right. Thank you very much, Gail. Thank you, EBC Kuala Lumpur Bureau. Stay safe. Protect yourselves. Thank you for joining us today.
Thank you, Alma. Reporting live from Kuala Lumpur, Malaysia, this is Gail Aldos. We live in interesting times.
And joining us live from our EBC Bangladesh Bureau is Arabel Pascua, where a doctor has been arrested over fake COVID-19 tests. Arabel.
Hello, Alma. Good afternoon. It's very nice to be back and giving you updates here in Bangladesh.
Good to see you back. Yes.
Okay. Yes, you are right, Alma. This Sabrina A. Chowdhury, a government doctor and chairman of JKG Healthcare, has been arrested over her alleged involvement in a COVID-19 testing scam. A case was filed against her husband, JKG Healthcare CEO Ariful Chowdhury, and 4 others for their alleged involvement in the COVID-19 testing scam. Media reports introduced Sabrina as the chairman of JKG Healthcare, a position which she said she never held. She claimed she only provided them with suggestions over the COVID-19 tests. Police brought charges against JKG Healthcare for providing false reports without testing the swabs collected from the people for COVID-19. In the same COVID-19 scam, police team also detained a couple and admitted that they worked for JKG Healthcare and were trained in how to fabricate COVID-19 test reports. Several false reports have also been seized from them. Meanwhile, the COVID-19 pandemic has not only had an unprecedented impact on people's lives, but also changed the way offices are run. Operating on a limited scale, the Secretariat is no different. While some ministries and divisions have a relaxed schedules, others face an increased workload. According to the officials, no more than 25% of the employees are attending the ministry offices at a time. Although the attendance is low, tasks that are important for the public interest are not left undone. Among the 58 ministries and departments of government, 17, including the President's Office, Prime Minister's Office, Armed Forces Department, Defense Ministry, and Foreign Ministry have their offices outside the Secretariat. The rest have their offices inside the building. The government allowed offices and other workplaces to continue operating on a limited scale on May 31, following 66 days of lockdown amid a worsening coronavirus pandemic. The ministry overseeing emergency works had been operating on a limited scale during the lockdown. Offices and workplaces will run at a reduced capacity until August 6. The cabinet division will later issue an order on the next move. They are also making sure they are practicing the rules in providing sanitary equipment for those employees who are attending their respective offices, as well as for those people that are coming and going to them. As of now, 6 secretaries have been infected with the novel coronavirus during the limited scale operation of offices aimed at limiting the spread of the virus. In addition to that, Alma, according to the DGHS, Bangladesh has registered 39 fatalities from the novel coronavirus infection in a day, taking the death toll to 2,391. The tally of infections surged to 186,894, and 98,317 patients recovered from the disease with treatment at home and in hospitals in the same period. Back to you, Alma.
All right. Thank you very much, Arabelle. Take care of yourself. Stay safe. Thank you, EBC Bangladesh Bureau.
Thank you very much, Alma. Reporting live from Bangladesh, I am Arabelle Pasqua. We live in interesting times.
Thanks, Arabelle. ASEAN in Focus. We'll be right back.
This weekend, tara na't mamangha sa galing at talento ng mga Pinoy sa iba't ibang sulok ng mundo.
It's now or never.
Abangan sila at mapawaw dito lang sa pinakamalawak na talent competition on Philippine TV and online. Ito ang Tagisan ng Galing.
Tagisan ng Galing is presented by SMC Infrastructure, building a better world. Sandig sugar-free white coffee, puno ng white coffee taste without the sugar, kaya lower calories. Try mo na Sandig sugar-free white coffee. Sarap ng white coffee, now sugar-free. Vet-approved NutriChocs, the only premium dog food with active boost for optimum energy and prebiotics that help strengthen immunity. Just like Catherine Bernardo, gawing listo, ganado ang fur babies niyo. Listo ganado sa NutriChocs. Magnolia Chicken Templados, delicious, ready to cook and freshly marinated daily. Pure Foods Luncheon Meat, pure sarap for every family. Star Chunky Cheese Corned Beef, ang cheesy ng corned beef mo. Walang duda, kids can tell na #1 ang Pure Foods Tender Juicy. Ang tender, ang juicy, ang sarap. Co-presented by Cooper, expert in air conditioning and electromechanical. Also engaged in structural, electrical, fire protection, plumbing, and sanitary services. Cooper, your ultimate MEPS and air conditioning solutions. Unlad Incorporated International, fight against global poverty. New San Jose Builders Incorporated. Canrib Corporation, your ventilation and air conditioning specialist. Vita Herbs Philippines Green Coffee, masarap, mabango, at healthy pa. Puerto Rico Resort and Convention Center, Cabiao, Nueva Ecija. I love Puerto Rico. In participation with Rain or Shine Elastomeric Waterproofing Paint, Matinco, R Square Variables Incorporated, Compizel Enterprises, Saisho International Trading Corporation, DN Steel, EMAC UPB Roof Corporation. East West Bank, your dream, our focus.
Hey, Aggression Ho here, and I'm a white coffee lover. Creamy kasi, and very yummy. Pero mas masarap kung hindi nakaka-guilty. Check my new discovery, San-Made Sugar-Free White Coffee. Puno ng white coffee taste without the sugar, kaya lower calories. Try mo na! San-Made Sugar-Free White Coffee. Sarap ng white coffee, now sugar-free.
Skyway Stages 1 and 2, the elevated toll road system project, run from a section of the South Luzon Expressway from Alabang to Magallanes, Makati. The Skyway Stage 3 is an elevated expressway connecting the South Luzon Expressway through the existing Skyway Stages 1 and 2 to the North Luzon Expressway via Balintawak. Skyway Stage 4 is an 80-kilometer mixed elevated and at-grade toll road that will connect the existing Skyway system starting from the FTI section all the way to Bulacan.
Listo at ganado ang baby ko sa vet-approved NutriChocs with active boost and prebiotics na pampalisto. Made with real meat, with essential nutrients to help them grow healthy and happy. Listo, ganado sa NutriChocs.
Ikaw lang ang star ng buhay ko. Para sa akin, perfect ka. Ang cheesy ng corned beef mo. Pag Star Chunky Cheese Corned Beef, sarap ng corned beef, inangat pa ng real cheese cubes. Star Chunky Cheese Corned Beef.
Welcome back. A Malaysian news portal's chief editor appeared in court on Monday for alleged contempt over readers' comments on the site. But lawyers for the site say there was no intention to publish the remarks and that they were removed quickly once police notified the portal. Take a look.
I think the judges have asked a lot of questions. I think there's a lot of issues for them to think about, and we'll see. They have set another date for their decision, to announce the decision. So we'll see. What will be the this decision that they're going to make. Then I believe that it will have great implications for all of us.
But once you're notified of such offensive material, you have 2 working days to remove it. So we have complied with the code, and that's a defense under the law. So in sum, there was no intentional publication, and as far as MKNI is concerned, they've complied with their legal obligations under the law.
The case against Malaysia Kini, an independent portal that has made a name for itself by reporting on the misdeeds of the ruling elite, and editor-in-chief, as you can see here, Stephen Gan, was brought by the Attorney General. It relates to 5 readers' comments posted under an article that were critical of the judiciary, with the Attorney General saying they had eroded public confidence in the courts. Proceedings began on Monday at the country's top court, with prosecutors arguing that Malaysia Kini had facilitated publication of the remarks. But lawyers for the site said it had not intended to publish them and that they were removed quickly once police notified the portal. Malaysia Kini's lawyer Malik Imtiaz told the federal court that Mr. Gan had nothing to do with publishing the comments and that there is nothing to show that Malaysia Kini willfully turned a blind eye to the publication. He said, adding that the case could have a chilling effect. The court said it would hand down a ruling at a later date. Mr. Gan, who co-founded Malaysia Kini in 1999, could be jailed if judges rule against the site. Since a scandal-mired party seized power in Malaysia earlier this year, criminal probes have been launched into journalists, activists, and opposition figures in what critics say is a sweeping effort to silence dissent. In other news, Speaker Alan Peter Cayetano has blamed the owners of media giant ABS-CBN for the network's inevitable shutdown. Take a look. In a Facebook post on Monday, Cayetano said the ABS-CBN owners, whom he described as oligarchs, have deprived the country of billions of worth of much-needed funds by skirting and bending the law. It wasn't the government who shot ABS-CBN down, rather it was their owners playing fast and loose with our laws in the past decades that made the shutdown inevitable. Cayetano particularly cited ABS-CBN's tax avoidance scheme as he compared the amount of taxes paid by the embattled network and its rival GMA7. He noted that GMA paid 3.13 billion pesos in taxes from 2017 to 2019 as compared to ABS-CBN's 563 million pesos for the same period. Their methods for avoiding taxes in the billions of pesos may appear legal, but how can you argue that putting that much money in the pockets of one family instead of having it benefit the millions of Filipinos who desperately need it is in any way right or moral? This is especially glaring when the same privilege of using public airwaves yields a much more beneficial result for the people when used by another network. This despite ABS-CBN being a bigger company that usually has bigger annual income than GMA, he added. Last Friday, by a 70-11 vote with 1 abstention, the House Committee on Legislative Franchises approved the resolution denying the franchise application of ABS-CBN Corp to construct, install, establish, operate, and maintain radio and broadcasting stations in the Philippines. 2 other lawmakers inhibited from voting the previous House hearings have exhaustively discussed the network's franchise issues, including the citizenship of ABS-CBN Chair Emeritus Gabi Lopez, the possible violation of the constitutional limits on foreign ownership, reported labor and tax violations, and other violations of the terms of its legislative franchise. Meanwhile, House Speaker Alan Peter Cayetano maintained his position that the denial of the franchise renewal of ABS-CBN is not an issue of press freedom, but part of the government's effort to reclaim the country's patrimony from the oligarchs. Take a look. He said he stands by the decision of the House Committee, stressing that private interests should be kept at the same arm's length distance as the government from controlling the media. For those who continue to push the freedom of the press card, Congress is not stifling the right of any journalists, host, commentator, talent, or employee of ABS-CBN, or any Filipino for that matter, from criticizing the government. We simply put an end to the privilege of one family in using a public resource to protect and promote their private interests, according to Cayetano. He said ultimately people will come to understand that this was never an issue about press freedom, that despite the best efforts of the owners to use it as a shield for their abusive corporate practices, Filipinos will see that this is, first and foremost, simply a part of the season's uprooting of the weeds and reclaiming our patrimony from the oligarchs. In other news, Susanna Liu, the wife of abducted Malaysian non-Muslim pastor Raymond Ko, has been vocally campaigning to find out her husband's fate. Ko's disappearance has fueled fears a traditionally tolerant form of Islam is being eroded as hardliners gain influence in the mostly Muslim country. Take a look.
2 days after that. That's part of the
At the moment, there's no closure. And it's very difficult because we are frozen in grief. Frozen. We do not know where he is, what condition he's in, and whether he's dead or alive. Because obviously, they are trying to hide something, and they are not willing to acknowledge the fact that it is a forced disappearance. I have this quest to find the truth and to at least have some closure for me and my family, as well as victims of, the enforced disappearance.
It has been 3 years since Susanna Liu last saw her husband. She and their 3 children still have no idea if he's dead or alive. But she won't give up the fight to find him. Dragged from his car by masked men and kidnapped in broad daylight outside Malaysia's capital, there has been no trace of Pastor Raymond Ko since 2017. The brazen kidnap shocked multi-ethnic Malaysia, which is home to a large non-Muslim minority. The country of 32 million is about 60% ethnic Malay, Muslim, and most live harmoniously with other ethnic and religious groups. But critics say creeping conservatism has led to greater discrimination against minorities. Last year, the commission concluded that Ko and Amri, a follower of Shiite Islam, considered deviant by many in Sunni-majority Malaysia, were likely abducted by police's special branch. This is an intelligence unit which gathers information about security threats, and critics have in the past claimed police are working with religious authorities to target individuals accused of anti-Islamic activities. Witnesses said both were kidnapped in a similar fashion and had been suspected of activities against Islam. The commission has not finished its inquiry into the Helmi's disappearances. Police insist the case has been thoroughly probed and that one man has been charged, accused of extortion and kidnapping, though his trial, which began in 2018, is still ongoing and the alleged accomplices remain at large. ASEAN in Focus will be right back.
Batid ko po at nating lahat ang suliraning dinadanas po ngayon ng buong mundo. Nakakalungkot man po, ngunit may mga kababayan po tayo na namamatay at dumadanas ng matinding paghihirap dahil dito. Ngunit huwag po sana tayong mawalan ng pag-asa dahil isa lamang po itong pagsubok na kapag po nagtulong-tulong tayo ay malalagpasan din po natin.
At sana po kahit na tulad ko po ay nananatili tayo sa loob ng ating mga bahay, ay gawin pa rin po natin ang lahat ng ating makakaya upang tumulong. Marami pong paraan upang makatulong mula sa ating mga bahay. Meron na pong mga online donations, meron pong mga iba pang paraan ng pagtulong. Lalo na po para sa ating frontliners. Maraming salamat po sa lahat ng mga nagbubuwis ng kanilang mga buhay araw-araw para po sa ating kapakanan.
At sumunod po tayo sa government natin because at the end of the day, everything that they're telling us is for our own safety. At higit po sa lahat, make sure to pray for everyone, pray for everything that is going on right now.
What is important is to hold on to things, for us to stay more positive, for us to be more strong, not only physically but also mentally. Spend time with our loved ones, with our families, and let's all trust God. Continue to be loyal to Him, always be more prayerful, and stay positive, stay safe and well, and God is all with us.
Stay positive pa rin po ang paningin natin sa buhay at stay healthy, stay at home. Higit sa lahat, huwag po natin kakalimutan ng manalangin sa ating Panginoong Diyos dahil ayun po ang sagot sa lahat po ng problema. So mag-ingat po tayong lahat and God bless.
So maraming salamat pong muli sa mga frontliners at sa lahat po ng mga gumagawa ng lahat ng kanilang makakaya upang makatulong. God bless you all.
We know that this is a scary time for all of us.
The coronavirus is changing the world.
Changing our lives.
So please, take care of yourself.
Keep your distance.
Wash your hands.
And if you can, stay at home.
We at DW
are here for you.
We are working tirelessly to keep you informed on all of our platforms.
We're all in this together.
And together,
we'll make it through.
Stay safe, everybody.
Stay safe.
Stay safe.
Stay safe.
Please, stay safe.
Letters and Music, Lunes hanggang Biyernes, 1:00 hanggang 2:00 ng hapon.
Singapore plunged into recession in the second quarter as the economy contracted more than 40%. Preliminary data showed on Tuesday, with the trade-independent city-state hammered by the virus in another ominous sign for the global recovery. The economy shrank 41.2% quarter-on-quarter and 12.6% on-year between April and June, according to data from the Trade Ministry. And analysts said it was the worst quarterly figure for gross domestic product ever recorded in Singapore. It marked the second consecutive quarter of contraction, meaning the city-state has entered a recession for the first time since 2009, when it was hard hit during the global financial crisis. Singapore is one of the world's most open economies and is seen as a barometer for the health of global trade. And the dismal figures are another warning sign that the global economy is heading for a deep and painful downturn. The worse than expected figures will also ring alarm bells for Asia's many trade-dependent economies. Typically, Singapore is hit first before ripples spread across the region. The Trade Ministry said the massive contraction was due to restrictions imposed from early April to early June to stem the spread of the virus, which included the closure of many businesses. It also attributed the shrinkage to weak external demand. The construction sector, meanwhile, contracted by 54.7% year-on-year and 95.6% compared to the previous quarter, according to figures. The services sector, meanwhile, shrank 13.6% year-on-year, with tourism-related services and the air transport sector hard hit due to travel restrictions. The manufacturing sector, however, expanded by 2.5% on-year in the second quarter, primarily due to a surge in output in biomedical manufacturing, according to the ministry. The data released on Tuesday are based on so-called advanced estimates. The figures are often revised once the full quarter's data are available, Singapore initially kept its virus outbreak in check through a strict regime of testing and contact tracing, only for serious outbreaks to later sweep through crowded dormitories housing low-paid migrant workers. It has reported more than 46,000 infections, including 26 deaths. And the long-ruling People's Action Party saw its support slip at a general election last week, although it still comfortably retained power amid concerns about job security and the economy during the pandemic. The affluent country's government has already rolled out about 100 billion Singapore dollars in stimulus packages, but the poor data could pile up pressure on leaders to do more. The World Health Organization warned that too many countries were going in the wrong direction in dealing with the coronavirus pandemic, and there could be no going back to normality anytime soon. Take a look.
Let me be blunt. Too many countries are headed in the wrong direction. The virus remains public enemy number one, but the actions of many governments and people do not reflect of this. The only aim of the virus is to find people to infect. Mixed messages from leaders are undermining the most critical ingredient of any response: trust. If the basics aren't followed, there is only one way this pandemic is going to go. It's going to get worse and worse and worse. We need to reach a sustainable situation where we have adequate control of this virus without shutting down our lives entirely.
But if people continue to frequent crowded places without taking the necessary precautions, if people aren't practicing physical distancing, if people aren't practicing hygiene, if people aren't wearing masks in the proper settings, then the disease will continue to transmit. We need to learn to live with this virus. Expecting that we will eradicate or eliminate this virus in the coming months is not realistic. And also believing that magically we will get a perfect vaccine that everyone will have access to is also not realistic.
I want to be straight with you. There will be no return to the old normal for the foreseeable future. I repeat, there will be no return to the old normal for the foreseeable future.
In a study released on Monday, the first of its kind, a team led by researchers from King's College London said patients who recover from coronavirus infections might lose immunity to reinfection within months. The WHO Emergencies Director Michael Ryan said it was not yet known whether recovered COVID-19 patients could be infected again, but with other coronaviruses, that is the case. WHO COVID-19 Technical Lead Maria Van Kerkhove said more studies were needed. Meanwhile, a total of 15 Filipinos have so far been found positive for the coronavirus disease in Qatar, while the remains of those who died have been sent home, according to Philippine Ambassador Qatar Alan Timbayan. Now, in an online briefing, Ambassador Timbayan said those found positive were immediately treated by Qatar's Ministry for Public Health, while the embassy has assisted the family of the deceased. For Filipinos currently living in Qatar, he also said they may call the MPH hotline 1600 if they are experiencing symptoms of COVID-19 for immediate treatment. Currently, he said, the Philippine Embassy and the Philippine Overseas Labor Office, or POLO, in Doha are representing overseas Filipino workers, or OFWs, on labor issues and other matters with Qatari authorities such as the Ministry of Labor. Meanwhile, he said 912 OFWs, including 6 infants, have so far been repatriated on May 20, June 20, and July 8 of this year, with 4,600 still to be repatriated based on the number of those who have registered for assistance with the embassy. Secretary of State Mike Pompeo said that the United States would treat Beijing's pursuit of resources in the disputed rife South China Sea as illegal, ramping up pressure on another front. Mr. Pompeo said in a statement, quote, "We are making clear Beijing's claims to offshore resources across most of the South China Sea are completely unlawful, as its campaign is bullying to control them. The United States has long rejected Beijing's sweeping claims in the South China Sea, aligning itself with Vietnam, the Philippines, and other U.S. partners in the region. But Mr. Pompeo went further by explicitly siding with Southeast Asian nations after years of the U.S. saying that it took no position on the merits of individual disputes. In line with the 2016 finding of an international tribunal, Mr. Pompeo said that the Mischief Reef and Second Thomas Shoal both fall fully under the Philippines' sovereign rights and jurisdiction. Mr. Pompeo also denounced China's claims on the contested Spratly Islands, where China earlier this year announced administrative districts which would allow Beijing to expand its maritime claims. The U.S., as a result, now rejects Beijing's claims in the waters surrounding Vanguard Bank of Vietnam, Lucania Shoals of Malaysia, waters considered in Brunei's exclusive economic zone, and the Natuna Besar of Indonesia, according to Pompeo. He also said any PRC action to harass other states, fishing or hydrocarbon development in these waters, or to carry out such activities unilaterally is unlawful. The U.S. in recent weeks has slapped visa restrictions on officials over the treatment of the Uyghur and Tibetan minorities, as well as over Beijing's clampdown in Hong Kong. President Trump has also harshly criticized China over the coronavirus pandemic. To other news now, while many aspects of life have been brought to a halt by the pandemic, the need for blood donations in hospitals isn't one of them. In cooperation with the Australian Red Cross, the Iglesia Ni Cristo held a blood donation drive in Australia. Reporting from the Gold Coast, here's Diego Madronio.
106 blood donors for the 106th founding anniversary of the Iglesia Ni Cristo, or Church of Christ. Indeed, a historical event here in Gold Coast, Australia, participated in by its church members in this part of the world. In cooperation with Australian Red Cross, members of the Iglesia Ni Cristo participated in a blood donation activity to help the community. Church members from the local congregation in Metro Brisbane, namely Gold Coast, Brisbane, Ipswich, and North Brisbane, traveled to different donation centres, such as the Springwood Donor Centre in Brisbane and Lifeblood Robina Donor Centre in Gold Coast, among others, to take part in this event. This socio-civic project is sponsored by the local congregation of Logan, District of Australia East, and is to celebrate and commemorate the 106th anniversary of the Iglesia Ni Cristo. Donating blood is one of the highest forms of charity, as each blood donation can save 3 lives, whether it be used to aid in medical emergencies or medical conditions in which blood is needed to survive. The donation process is easy, and it starts with testing your eligibility to donate and finding your blood type. From there, all you need to do is make an appointment, go to the donation center and donate blood, which is an easy, cost-free process that only takes an hour. Reporting from Gold Coast, Queensland, Australia, this is Diego Madronio for Eagle News. We live in interesting times.
Thank you, Diego. And thank you for joining us here in ASEAN in Focus. I'm Alma Angeles. We live in interesting times.